Now let the beat ride.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 16 of High Chicago. As usual, I'm your boy Sean. Now, things are a little bit different. As you may notice, I got the whole crew in one spot for the first time ever. Let me see how everybody's doing real quick. Mary Claire, fresh from Houston. How are you?
Woo! Tired as hell, but I'm here.
Sounds about right. You look good. You know what I'm saying? Big teeth out for the second episode in a row. We appreciate it.
And ladies needed to
Yeah,
breathe on vacation.
we definitely about to get a letter from the FCC.
That's fine, bro. JV, how you feeling, boy?
How you doing?
Well, Wendy's back. Wendy's back. So, the quick question for you, bro. So, did you survive Aaron cursing you clean out after last episode?
Okay, so people didn't get a chance to see it, but Aaron cuts me clean.
Can we
the
get
hell
a
out.
little
How you
snippet
doing?
of what it looked like?
It was
Definitely not gonna put that.
It was like this. He was like,
Gotta be in the
first of all, don't you ever,
Man.
don't you ever.
Did you pause to take a sip of water?
But you survived it.
I survived it. I looked at him. I said, "How you doing?" I said, "Girl, I've been doing you for 15 years. We still here. Look, we still on the couch together."
Aaron, big fella, are you? You look dapper as shit, bro.
Aaron.
You told me to get dressed up. I know what
You
you want
got
dress
somewhere to
code
go.
was. So here
You
we
got
go.
the chain on, you got the Dennis Rodman earrings on and shit. I see you, bro.
It's been 7 different people at this point.
It's the same one. It's the same one.
Regardless, you look good.
He look good.
Facts.
He do, for real.
Um,
Look fresh out of Macy's.
So I appreciate you flying in from Memphis. Appreciate you flying in from H-Town.
We gonna get our money back? Cause shit, maybe.
Not
Did
for
we get
me.
reimbursed?
Not
Can
for
I claim
me.
this on my taxes?
Right.
You could try,
Go ahead.
but it's probably not gonna happen. But
Bro, we gonna go to IRS.com.
Right.
let's dive in. Let's dive in, right?
What's
So I have a really bad habit in the morning, right?
Mhm.
I'll set my alarm for whatever time I gotta get up, and then I'll spend the first 30 to 40 minutes up on my phone. I'm just scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Instagram, Snapchat, everything. I'm wasting time in bed just chilling on social media, right?
Okay.
And you see all type of shit on social media, right?
True.
Funny stuff, ignorant stuff, racist stuff, sports stuff. But the question I have for you guys right now in 2020 is social media doing more harm for society or more good for society, just based on how people decide to use it, right? Because you see a lot of ignorant shit on social media, right? But then you got funny stuff like Black Twitter, right? That brings a joy to everybody.
Maybe acting the fool. I need to leave Paul George alone. Let me put that out there.
So the question I have for you guys overall, right? Social media, good or harmful for society in 2020? MC, I'm gonna kick it off with you.
And I think it's toxic as fuck.
Toxic is a strong word.
It is,
Very strong.
because there's things that we now know about each other that maybe we didn't. Sure, maybe we laugh at it from time to time, but now we grow so accustomed to when we see that person's name, their profile pic, we're like, oh God, what are they posting this time? Or maybe we've already anticipated it, and
Okay.
it just builds up these feelings in us that nobody has time for that shit. Like,
Are you talking about celebrities or are you talking about just average Joes?
everyday life. I know more about my family members that I could have went my whole life without knowing. And same thing with people I work with. I'm not even friends with anyone I work with on social media. It's like my rule to myself. I see these people 6, sometimes 7 days a week.
Okay.
And I know things about them that I don't need to know. When I'm at work, I should be focused on their professional side. I shouldn't have to see their other side.
But people are entitled to live their own personal life,
They
right?
are.
Okay, bet.
But the thing is, people live beyond that on social media because they can. They have the
Right. Social media
capabilities
allows you a different gateway to someone else's life that you might not ever know about, right? Good or bad.
Yeah.
So why is it harmful that you know more about whoever?
because we've given certain individuals the platform to elevate who they really are. And guess what? What we didn't anticipate was that they go beyond what we needed and what we expected. And so I just 9 times out of 10, I find it really annoying, really disturbing, super negative, toxic, whatever you want to call it. And I just, that's why I try to distance myself as much as possible. I think Twitter is the best form because I see the verbal side less, whereas like I see twice as much Facebook, Instagram wise.
So I think toxic is too strong of a word when it comes to your social media, right? Mary Claire is an extremist.
When you
You
put
talked
a
about last
hashtag,
episode,
we'll
right?
talk about
Right.
whether or not it's
Extremist,
toxic.
She's always the extreme.
It's either all or nothing with MC and I hate it, right?
I'm the
So,
toxic one here.
facts. So JB, is she right or wrong?
She's wrong to a certain degree. I look at social media similar to how I look at alcohol. It's one of those
What?
things. Wait,
Hear me out.
hear me out.
What?
If it's done in moderation, it could be a good thing, right? You
Yeah.
hear people say all the time, "Oh, if you drink a glass of wine a day, it's good for your heart. It's good for this. It's good for
You're in
that."
a bottle right now.
I
That's
am
cool.
so
Right. So you see what I'm saying?
Go
But
ahead.
if you're Mary Claire and you're dealing with bottles every other day, that might be a problem. So with social media, it's the same thing. I say the same thing with social media. It's one of those things where if you're using it for like, okay, I'm getting on Facebook, seeing how people are doing. I want to check some scores of the game last night, see some funny memes from Black Twitter, what people are doing. That's it. If you're using social media in that regard, then it's perfectly fine. Some people use social media to get news. If you follow, like, CNN or something like that, you get a
Y'all
couple
are
of quick
men, so the
notifications.
things you follow on social media is way different than what females
So it's a
follow.
sexist thing now.
Yeah, it seems like it's a
It could
separation.
be.
But-
It very well could be.
I'll just say this real quick. Like, if you have people on your social media that's all toxic, doing all these crazy things, then that's when you have to kind of look at yourself.
I'm about to say, because you're making the choice
Yeah,
to
you're
follow
making
these
the change.
people.
Exactly.
You're right.
Right, so stop following toxic people, Mary Claire.
Do
and
you
then
know
you'd be
how
fine.
often
Do
I
that.
purge my accounts?
Not often enough,
It's
clearly.
very frequently because the amount of people who go from I'm good, I'm chilling to negative as fuck, and I'm like, all right, you gotta go.
If I had a social media just with my homies, which I do, you
Right.
know what I'm saying, just with my friends, a few people I follow from the sports world, my social media is not crazy.
Okay.
Every now and again, you might get somebody might retweet something crazy. But like when I get on my Facebook, I don't see Trump or bite. I don't see any of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I just see people talking about what they got going for the day. They got a new job.
Right.
Somebody grandma died.
Okay.
Now I'm sick of people putting dead pictures on Facebook. We can talk about that on the next episode. But other than that, my one friend, Richard, if you stop doing that,
So Richard like
how you
Wow.
doing? Because we did not need to see Grandma Susie in the box.
My bad.
But rest in peace.
All
But the
right.
point that I'm making is your social media is what you make.
So Aaron, right? Are you more so with JV where it kind of depends on who you're following, or are you Mary Claire where it's all toxic all the time?
No, I'm definitely with JV. I understand where she's coming from
Okay.
with that, but you got to sort of look at who you're following, like
Okay.
you said. You have to make sure you set those boundaries on who you have.
Those
who you
earrings are
are.
distracting the hell out of me right now.
That's
I'm
fine,
just
bro.
seeing
That's
you like,
fine.
boy, God
That's fine. You're
damn.
gonna keep on dangling. Anyway,
Right.
you have to make sure you set those boundaries on who you follow, so you can sort of have a curated list of what you're actually seeing.
Ooh,
on
big
the
word.
internet.
Curated.
I
Oh,
just
yeah,
think,
you're
Right.
right.
I just think to your point though,
It's the turtleneck. What?
with
That's
how
what it is. That's
far
all that it comes from. Perfection.
I just think with to your point, how far social media platforms have come, people are finding more and more ways. Like before, we didn't have live. Now we have live. It's getting worse with some of the content we're seeing, and those are the things that are making me more likely to delete people more often. Now I'm like, dang! Before I know it, I'm gonna have like 5 Facebook friends.
Why don't you just stay off social media in general? Then?
I do for the most part, but because of High Chicago, I am now back on social media. So
Well, we're on Twitter and Instagram.
sometimes when you're doing certain things with your life, you have no choice but to be on social media because that's where people see you the most. So
That's true.
it's kind of like
Which is why I think it does more
This or
good,
that.
especially if you have a brand. It
Yeah.
definitely
More
gets
good.
you have to
yeah,
push it.
it definitely gets you
That's
out there,
the sense,
especially
yeah.
if you're a brand. You have that ability to sort of reach an audience that you wouldn't be able to reach
Exactly.
maybe back
Because people
20 years ago
copy
before
it,
you could actually
this
get
and that.
people across different states, different countries. I mean, we got
Hashtag this,
fucking
hashtag that.
views
Yeah.
from
France.
France and shit.
Shout
Yeah.
out to France, shout out to the
Shout out
UK.
to
Yeah,
France.
Without social media,
I'd
I
love
don't
to
think we
know
ever
who
get
you
it.
are.
But just for a British audience,
Oh,
I want to make
stop
sure.
it, bro, please.
No. I just want to make
This is
sure.
offensive.
Stop.
Social
They're probably sitting
media,
right
just
watching
real quickly,
his ass.
social media game is what you make of it. If you have negative toxic people in your social media, then perhaps you may want to look at your friend
That was
list
extremely
and
offensive.
decide what is better for you. To translate for
I don't
y'all
know
in
what you're
America,
doing now.
what I'm saying is,
And we
Mary Claire, right. We remember she spelled
Wee
all
two
wrong.
wees.
Right, she spelled it all wrong.
and we
Go ahead,
we-
JB.
But what,
JB, go
not
ahead.
to get off topic, but what I'm saying is social media is what you make of it. And I think some young people,
Get your hands
some young people, they don't understand that.
Right.
If you just got some of your good close friends, a couple of famous people you might like, your Cardi B's or whoever, damn, they getting a divorce. But you know what I'm saying? You get your
You
few
have
people
to.
that you have,
Mhm.
that's it. But if you following all these people and all this thing, then you're right. The more access that you have, the more toxic your timeline can be. But I look at my timeline, it's just full of sports,
Right.
news, and weather. That's
Okay.
it.
So then let me piggyback off that for a second, right?
Mhm.
Because you said something about brand and what you possibly could represent, right? And then JB said the more people you have, the more toxic it could or could not be, right?
Very true.
But those are both like your choices,
Yes.
right? So then let's talk about representing a brand potentially,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So a lot of people have lost their jobs for things they posted on social media,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Do you think that's fair? And I ask that because I don't think so. Right now, if in my social media I have my employer's name, or I'm bashing my employer, I'm shitting on them, and you fire me for that because of something offensive I said towards the business, or adding the business to my tweet or my Facebook post, all right, bet, fire me.
Yeah.
But if I said something, I'm not racist at all, if I said something racist 5 years ago, and it happens to just surface for whatever reason today, I could potentially lose my job because of that. Because most of these states, I think except for maybe 5 of them, are at-will states that can just fire you just for firing you as long as it's not an illegal reason. Yeah. I think that's bullshit.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. My thing is, it does depend on what industry you're in.
Yeah.
So somebody like
It shouldn't, but go ahead.
I'm
I'm gonna tell you why, but go ahead.
Okay.
somebody like you guys who work in the retail industry,
Right.
your face isn't the face of a company.
Facts.
All right. But if we're talking about somebody like JB who does work in a news station,
Okay.
whose face is constantly out there,
Okay.
and let's say he goes and he posts something offensive
Right.
today,
Right.
you don't think that should affect him in any way, shape, or form?
You're saying because he's the face of the company?
No, because his face is out there.
See,
Yeah.
I disagree with that though
representing
because we
constantly
still represent a brand.
But see, this is my thought on it. It's a slippery slope, right?
Is
I
it?
hate when
I
you
mean,
say that term.
no, okay. to a certain extent, I feel as though your social media necessarily shouldn't, be impacted
Because
with
it's
your
my
performance.
social media.
But at the same time, what Aaron is kind of saying is this: by you guys working in the retail industry,
Right.
people aren't identifying you with a cell phone company or
Okay.
with a coffee shop. You
I
see
agree.
what I'm saying?
Eh.
Whoa.
That's
Let me finish.
Okay.
But when you work in the news media,
Right.
people associate me with a television station in Memphis, Tennessee, or when
Okay.
I was working at the TV
Okay.
station up here.
But what if your social media has absolutely nothing about where you work at in general?
But regardless, that name, that is still synonymous with that company, right?
That's the same thing as us then. It's no different.
But it is. There are thousands of those stores that you work
Okay,
at.
so
But there's only one TV station that is synonymous with Joshua Benson.
Yeah,
So I can't be
that's
on
not
my
what I
social
get.
media saying, I hate white people, I hate gay people. I can't say that on my social media and not think that my employer can't say, what did you say 5 years ago? What did you say 10 years ago? That's a reflection of who we are as a brand.
But it's not though, because you said it A, before you got hired,
Fair.
and B, it's on your own personal social media page, right? So you still got the freedom of speech, right? Now what you're saying is shitty. Let's be clear with that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
super shitty what he's saying, but those are still your thoughts. They have nothing to do with the brand that you work for or represent in that time. They hired you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
They
You passed
did.
whatever assessment, whatever interview process, so you are qualified to do your job.
Yes.
So what you think in your personal time should not have anything to do with your ability to do your
In the
job.
perfect world, I agree with you. But in reality, it's a difference between what, now hear me out, it's a difference between ought and is. Don't make me have to be a psychologist
Oh
in
my
here.
God.
Oh,
But
no,
lots
you
of
are
people
not a
have.
psychologist.
It's the difference
Stop right
between
there.
ought and is. You're right. It ought not be that way. You should be able to tweet and Facebook and
Right.
whatever you want.
Right.
All of us, regardless
Correct.
of our industry. But in reality,
But that's the thing. So you don't forget the question, right?
So the question
Make sure I was
is,
perfectly
should it
clear.
be that
Should
way?
it be?
in my opinion, yes. Because if I am on a television station every single day,
Okay.
I shouldn't have tweets and Facebook messages that's saying something that's so offensive.
So if you're racist,
Go
you
ahead.
should be able to say, yes, I am racist on your telenewscast. That's what you're saying?
I
You
didn't-
should be able to say what you want. That's
I
what
don't
you
think
just
that's what
said.
he said at all.
But you said you
But that's
should
not-
be able to say what you want. That's what you just said.
He said should.
I
he
said,
never said anything
no, I
offensive.
said, what I said was, in a perfect world, you're right. I should
Right.
be able to get on my social media and say whatever, but that's not reality.
That's not.
Nor do I think that is acceptable because, again, I do represent that brand. Even with this podcast here, I've
Right.
said to you guys privately,
When we
There's
live in this
certain
real
things
world,
that-
it would be great if you could say what you should want to say. No, because at the end of the day, you're taught that there are certain situations, the whole thought process of, certain emotions that you want to evoke in people. Just because you want to say it doesn't necessarily mean you should be able to say it.
So then you and I are in disagreement then.
Yeah.
right? So what is your position?
Because what's coming off from me from what you're saying is that, if people are extremely like feeling outward about something that they should be able to say. That's not how we work in this world. Sometimes you say things and it's extremely improper or unprofessional or very inappropriate.
Right. So we're agreeing.
So we agree with us.
Yeah, you're agreeing with us.
I don't like your wording, but maybe.
Okay.
If we're agreeing,
just so we're clear. Just so everybody
okay.
is clear. My position is that even though maybe it shouldn't be that way, if you're on social media, depending on the industry that you're in, it should have a direct impact on your employment. And one thing that we learned as kids, right? Remember back when we used to first go in, whatever you put on the internet is out there forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it reminds me, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was out in Iowa and he was with the beer people, right?
Okay.
They were doing this great thing for the kids in Iowa where they was
Get to the point, bro.
The point that I'm making is don't rush me.
Come on.
The point that I'm making is that guy had some tweets where he was saying the N-word back when he was 16, 17.
Okay.
But at 23, 24, he did this great campaign with the Children's Hospital.
He was regretful.
He apologized and all of that, right? But he lost a lot of ties because of that. And people felt like, that's crazy. He was a kid. But you have to understand, once you put something out there, it's out there forever. It's the guy that follows our podcast and follows me personally. Okay. He tweets all my old tweets all the time. And it's funny.
No,
but if he was to ever find some crazy tweets that I since deleted. But my point that I'm making is that, you have to.
You always have that ability to do a social media purge.
You do, though, right? But again, who gives a damn what I said 5-10 years ago if that's not a reflection on my ability to do my job right now?
Again,
if I'm at work and I'm
a specific thing.
So if I hate white people too, which I don't.
I don't know about that.
Debatable.
Right? If I hate white people, or hell, if I hate my people, I hate black people, it doesn't matter. If I treat you like shit at my job and it's clear, complaints, whatever, then fine. Fire me because of
But
that.
we don't know your heart, though. That's the thing. If
you don't have to, because my heart got to do with my resume.
This is what I'm saying. Let's say I'm your employer, I'm the phone company, and you tweeting all kind of very radical things about how you hate white people and they the blue-eyed devil. Okay, I hired you.
Right.
You're in front of people every day of all races, genders, sexes, and creeds. And this is what on your social media, you damn right I'm about to fire you. Because how I know, because again, I'm your boss, I'm not there 24/7.
I would like to pick back off what JV is saying because as a manager, as somebody who picks people to represent your store and your brand, you are picking people who fall under certain characteristics, certain skills. If you can't represent yourself as somebody who I should be proud of, then I don't fucking want you.
But I know for a fact, you for damn sure don't go through your people's social media before you hire them.
You're right, before I hire them. But after I hire you, if you can't hold yourself to my standard, bye-bye, bitch.
But then look through their shit.
Okay.
I've had plenty of people do that where they go, oh my God, I work here, blah, blah, blah. And then they do some stupid shit while they're putting hashtag and then my company's name.
That's idiotic. That's idiotic. Yeah, lose your job.
And if you do that after I've employed you, I've given you the chance to respect my company's name. And now that you are not doing that, goodbye.
But I also said that if you disrespect your employer on social media, then lose your job because you blatantly crossed the line with your employer specifically.
But let me give you a great example. What if I worked for Mary Claire, right? What if I worked at the coffee shop for Mary, right?
Okay, no problem.
And I post a cup and I say all lives matter.
You don't even have
with
to
a
have
duck
that.
face. Let's just say I say that.
You have to have a duck face.
Okay. Let's just say you got the duck face. You may not have the coffee cup from the coffee shop, but let's say I say that. And I can be at work. If somebody sees that.
You're at work doing this.
Yes. Wait, but hear me out.
It doesn't have anything to do with you being in the work vicinity. You could be at the mall.
You could be
and you could say some racist shit, and I'd be like, that I can judge to your character.
Right.
So
that's
no,
a great
thank
judge of
you.
character. Because let me say this. Because you're working in a customer service environment, YouTube see people of all races, colors, and creeds every day, right?
Chances are, if that's already in you, you're likely to let it put out.
If I'm Mary Claire, I can't say you might not spit in somebody latte that don't look like you because on your social media you got Confederate flags talking about I hate black folks. You see what I'm saying? So just because the resume might be ideal, it's not all about the resume.
No, but I passed the interview. I'm talking about I'm already hired.
Regardless of that, if I see something on your social media media that does not align with my company views and values.
From the time you were
where
hired.
it say no discrimination, we employ everybody, black, green, yellow, purple. We don't care if you man, straight, whatever. If you are saying something against my company values, whether you said it 2 days ago, 6 years ago, 20 years ago, I have the authority to say you got to go.
So let me stop you right there. Then let me ask you this question, then, Aaron. Right? Why aren't the most high ups held to that exact same standard then, right? Because we know who's in the White House right now. We know the type of shit he puts on Twitter, right? China virus and all type of racist shit like that. What if you call it the African virus? You probably feel some type of way.
That would be a problem.
But this man is still in power, with the potential to be in power longer. We've done all type of racist shit. So why is that held to the same standard?
That's just
the
a reflection
firing
of the country.
process. The firing process is a little bit different for Donald Trump.
But let the standard be blanket. I don't think an average Joe like Mary Claire should lose her job over some offensive shit like that. You're basic.
You're basic. Well, you basic. How you doing?
Own it. But the person who runs the damn country can just say whatever the fuck he wants and get away with it and still be in power. How's that fair?
I don't think it's fair.
It's not fair.
But then why should the standard be the same?
Yes, the standard should be the same, but the problem is that it's a lot harder to fire the president than it is to fire the average Joe.
There should be a better process.
We should have better guidelines for things that somebody who represents our entire effing country should be able to say, post, and repeat, or whatever you want to call it. Because majority of the shit that he says that people have a problem with, we have a problem with it because nobody should say that. If one of my employees said that, I would fire them. So why are we letting somebody who represents the power in the standing of our country say that? We shouldn't. But
understand the election. I think that's a bad example. Understand that the election.
No, because I'm saying,
understand that the election process is much different than the hiring process.
I understand.
So, but you're right. I would say this though. If the owner of your phone store said something like "I hate Jews," best believe he gonna get fired
out the door.
If the owner of your company says something, and they sometimes say their values are a little, conservative.
But these are also the owners.
But I'm saying, but you compared it to the president. I'm just saying whether it's an owner, CEO, board member, whatever the case may be, if someone in power says something like that, best believe it's going to be a backlash.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about the president, that's a little different because you got people voting and that kind of thing. And that's also the mood the country was kind of in 2016 when you got elected. But let me just call it what it is. But I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, truly, that standard is held to everybody. We could go downstairs here at the hotel now. If that person says something offensive, all you have to do is take a picture, tweet at the Marriott.
That's different. You're comparing people doing things at their job. I'm not talking about doing shit at your personal life.
If we were at the lake, when we were just taking pictures at the lakefront, if we saw somebody down there saying, you N-word, this, that, and the other, coming at you.
But we're talking about people up here getting the repercussions.
I'm saying
no, right now it's just a blanket.
Just a blanket, everybody. It don't matter whether it was the owner of this hotel, whether it was the store manager or whatever. If any one of them would have called you an N-word, you would have took a picture of them and we would find them. And Black Twitter would have found them in 2.5 seconds. Because they we should have that looking for Bin Laden back in the day. Shit, was Twitter there? What I'm saying is, if they would have done that, it didn't matter whether they ran this hotel or was working at the front desk, baby, they would have been gone. So that standard is across the board. It may not be the standard for the White House, and they might say the whole thing about America, but I love America. We should put that out there. I ain't trying to get back at it. But the point that I'm making is that, no matter if somebody was to call you a nigga right now, that wasn't black.
I feel like you've said that on the last 8 episodes. You gotta chill.
I
said nigga. I did not say
no, but you said it twice.
We've had this conversation numerous times.
Oh, we can't say.
You told me I couldn't say pussy, and now you out here.
Oh, okay. Well,
Lord have mercy.
For anyone that I offended, I truly apologize.
But it's even if that's your point, Sean, that somebody isn't necessarily representing their brand in the negative post, who's to say Aaron can't know who that person is, know who they works for, shares the post and then goes, dang, Sean, you hire people like this and then puts your company's name, boom.
And there you go.
It's as simple as
now,
that.
Sean, are you okay
they don't
with that?
Do it themselves.
You not firing that person?
Other people know.
Are we not firing that person, Sean?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, let me ask you this question. So if one of your employees at the phone company that you work for was taking our pictures and said, you big monkey ear N-word, how you doing? And
so bad.
And I take a picture and I say, this person just called me a big monkey N-word. I at your company. You tell, and they find out this person do work for this company, and they look at you. They gonna be like, who you have?
You gonna still have this same energy?
Are you gonna still be like, hey, she was off the clock. It didn't matter.
I'm just trying to.
You gonna be like,
ma'am,
deuces. But can I get the pictures? That's exactly what you gonna say. That's exactly what you gonna say. Man, we still take pictures.
Lord have mercy.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. We just persuaded a voter.
Yeah, there it is.
And that's also the problem with social media. It tends to put a smoke screen in between you and the person who's viewing it, and tends to make you less likely to respond or more likely to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I also don't like it. I believe interactions should happen person to person because that's when your true colors bleed. That's all I gotta say.
And I'll just add this. We've seen it happen time and time again where just with the mask thing, right? People come into a store, they don't have a mask on,
Right.
and they're talking crazy to these employees and belittle them and this, that,
You see it all over social media.
Right. They're not at work technically, right? They just at, Target, wherever they're shopping at. But once we take that picture and say this woman called, this guy that was ringing her out the N-word and said she wasn't wearing a mask, and then we found out they work at a law firm, we found out they work at a school.
Right.
Fired.
They gotta go. Why would I want that person, again, I have a 9-year-old son in the other room. Why would I want that person teaching at my son's school when they can't just wear a mask for 10, 15 minutes to go buy some groceries and belittling the cashier, calling them all kind of names?
This might be the first time that JV has actually made a really solid point.
Don't do that.
To where I might change my mind a little
What?
bit. I still don't know if it's
You
fair.
better record this yourself.
Yeah, I still don't know if it's fair that
Let me
people should lose
record.
their jobs with what they say on their own personal shit, but I understand it to a better extent, even though I still fully disagree. But anyway, so let us know what you guys think when it comes to if people should get fired for what they put on their own social media websites. Let us know if you guys think social media in 2020 right now is doing more harm or good. We'll kind of wrap this episode like we always do with our final thoughts. Aaron, big fella, I'm gonna start with you, bro. What you got?
I'm just happy to be out here in downtown Chicago. I think Sean mentioned that we're in downtown Chicago today together.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be together too.
Hey,
This is
Chicago.
awesome.
We know why you're really happy, how you doing, but we'll
Oh.
talk about
No.
that. See, I be acting a fool.
Trying to
Hey, come on,
get the
camera.
second time,
No,
bro.
I'm just
What
trying
you
to do. You say you happy to be downtown
What are you
Chicago.
doing?
You say how
Can
you
you go from
doing. I
the
bet you
virtual
are happy.
version
That's
to
what
the
you
in-person?
doing.
JV, what you got, bro?
If you're going to take the Kennedy, it's about 30 minutes out the Macho. No, I just want to say, hey guys, thank you all for subscribing and being a part of this. It's crazy and hectic how our schedules are, but we come together and we make a pretty good product, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Aww.
Thanks. That was something else.
Even though I did mess up the phone issue.
I need
Yeah.
some more.
Wait, what you got?
Hi guys, thanks for watching. This
Nice.
This is such a great opportunity to be able to come
She feel like she
home,
trying to find
see my
somebody.
family. This is my real family. I say I got blood relatives, but this is my real family. I swear to
Thanks.
God. Swear to God. But yeah, I'm really happy to come into town and do something like this.
You were supposed to say hi. I'm MC, and you were supposed to, shake a little bit. So,
Except for him, I'm not related to him.
if you
But anyway, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. I really appreciate any kind of feedback you guys give to all four of us because we really do appreciate it. So thanks.
Facts. And then I want to give a couple quick shout outs, right? So yeah, we're downtown, like Aaron mentioned. We just did an amazing photo shoot. I want to give a shout out to the homie Marissa. She hooked us up, man. Marissa, we really appreciate everything you've done for us today.
We appreciate
Yes.
I'm gonna tag her social media at the end of this episode. So you
Please
guys go
do,
follow
yeah.
her.
Make sure you
She
look
is an
up
amazing up and coming
Baby.
photographer.
it. My Facebook picture's finna be hitting.
Your
Right.
gender reveals, whatever you got.
No, we don't do those anymore. Remember, California's on fire because of that.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right.
Just relax.
Okay.
And I want to give another quick plug to the homie Doug. Doug came out. Doug is the one
Doug
that
Dizzle!
man, us in 4K versus that basic ass standard shit we've been using for the last.
Baby,
Y'all
you
smell the
15
perfume?
weeks, bro.
Yes, I know you can.
But I plug his
girl.
social media
Still
too.
not how that works.
Doug is on YouTube. Doug is on Instagram. Doug, we really appreciate you.
If you ever
We
try to do a
appreciate
rap
you.
battle,
Oh man.
Doug got you.
Not including JB.
Facts.
Right.
But you both are some real ones for coming downtown and taking time out of your day to come mess with us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. For everybody else, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, Chicago312. Listen to us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts,
Yes.
Spotify, wherever you want. We got you. Until next time, Chicago.
Wait, I was supposed to close us out.
Oh, my bad.
Excuse me.
No, my bad.
In my news voice, for Sean, Mary Claire, and Aaron, and myself, Josh Vincent, we're glad that all of you guys are here. For next time, this is Hi Chicago. Have a good night.
Peace out. Peace out.